Good morning, church. Let's see, am I using this mic at all? No. Okay. Thank you. Happened last time too, didn't it? Great to see everybody here today. Thank you so much for your flexibility in starting a little bit late. I hope you got that word and you haven't been here since like 9 in the morning or something like that. But I really appreciate it. It was great to be down with the Southeast a little while ago and then to kind of whirl out and come up here and be with all of you. I have been looking forward to it. And so thankful for the Northwest and for Doug and Suzanne and all of the church here and all that God is doing through you and amongst you and because of you. Really grateful for your partnership. And it's great to have the campus here with us. I'm excited to be with all you. I missed you down in the Southeast service, but was looking forward to being with you here. Now let's see, how many dads went to the White Rose Daddy-Daughter Ball Without Dancing last night? Awesome. Okay, it was an awesome time. Doug, thank you so much for organizing it. It was just such a special time. We came, it was my first one, and Marin and I went to the after party and hung out all night. Went to Denny's this morning, came straight to church. Oh no, that was my daughter with the prom. Okay, that's what she did. But anyway, we did have a great time. It was great being here at the building last night with that. And a couple of weeks ago when I came, you remember when I came and talked about sacrifice and about our special missions offering and so forth a couple of weeks ago? Well, at that time, I shared a little bit about the campus ministry, and as Doug just alluded to, that a portion of our special missions contribution, we want to continue to invest in our campus ministry. We believe so much in the campus ministry being the fountain of youth for the whole church and to be able to be a feeder of all the different ministries and the rest of the church. And we're so grateful for what God has been doing in the last 2 semesters on campus. It's been encouraging seeing so many people becoming Christians and new leaders rising up. This month continues to shape up to be our best month in a long time as we set a goal of seeing weekly resurrections in honor of the resurrection of Jesus and Easter. And so far we've seen 3 people baptized into Christ. And tonight, God willing, have a 4th in the house. Ben, are you on for tonight? Stand up, Ben. You ready to get... Yeah, all right. Come on, Ben. Yeah. Woo! Ben is from the Metro Ministry, and God willing, he's going to get baptized tonight. And I know there's others that are getting close to becoming Christians as well. So God is just doing amazing things on the campus. And as you know, we presently have 4 people serving as interns in the campus ministry. Down in the Auraria campuses, we have Brian Campbell and Christina Jones, and they've done a fantastic job in this last year. Then up at University of Colorado in Boulder, we have Ryan Flynn and Miyoko Kim, as you guys know. Well, for 3 of them, for Ryan, Miyoko, and Christina, their 1-year internship is coming to a close at the end of this semester. And we need to be praying that as they transit into the working world, the secular world, that God blesses them with jobs right here. Amen to that. I know they want to stay here, and we just need to pray that God will bless them. Kevin has been self-supporting. You guys know Kevin Bamber as well. He's been self-supporting. He's taken a year off of his service. He graduated summa cum laude from University of Missouri and just supported himself for 1 year just to serve as an intern in the campus ministry. Has done an amazing job helping people become Christians. He too is going to be looking for a job at the end of the semester. He's looking right now, so please pray that he can find something here so he doesn't have to move away. But anyway, as those people kind of, in a sense, bring their internship to a close, we've been scouring the brotherhood and praying and searching to find 3 suitable brothers and sisters to pick up the baton and lead the campus charge in the Denver campuses and the Boulder campuses. And we really believe God has blessed us with just the right people to serve in this way at this time. So I want to introduce to you the, just a picture up here. They're not actually here. But the future leaders of the University of Colorado Ministry, Chris and Becky Clausen, okay, from Boise, Idaho. Chris and Becky were converted up there in Boise at Boise State, led the campus ministry a couple different times, have done a fantastic job leading it. Matter of fact, they just graduated and sent out 2 full-time interns, one to Portland, Oregon, one to St. Louis, Missouri. They're just raising up interns, sending them out. I think they're going to do a fantastic job here. They also led the entire church in Boise for a couple years, so they even have church leadership experience. They're coming in the middle of July, and we're really looking forward to having them here. And then to lead the women at in the Denver campuses, Brian will stay on full-time in the full-time ministry. We're really grateful for Brian Campbell there, fruit of the land. And to pick up the baton from Christina, who's done just a fantastic job in this last year, is a sister from the Los Angeles church named Ashley Zamora. And Ashley's a great girl. She became a Christian as a teen. She was reached out to by a counselor of hers while she was in high school. Became a Christian as a teen, went to UC Riverside on a track scholarship, converted 3 people on her track team, including the captain of the track team, went into the full-time ministry, has just been extremely fruitful in the campus ministry there in Los Angeles, and for the last 6 months has also served in the teen ministry full-time. So she brings a couple of years of full-time experience. She's going to serve alongside of Brian in the Aurora campuses, and we're so thankful for this new era of campus ministry. Please be praying that God will bless the interns we've had, that He'll bless this new era as well with the new leaders that we're bringing in. Your special missions contribution at work, right? Yeah, okay, so be praying for that and come through in that way. Amen? I'm excited to share today, and really the reason that I wanted to be with you today and speak to the Southeast and the Northwest together, or kind of separately, we couldn't get a location again, but like this, is because we're getting ready to unveil, finally, this long-awaited and what I believe will be monumental in its impact, new ministry of the Denver Church of Christ. I really believe it's going to have a monumental impact on our church congregationally, on our lives relationally, and on each of us individually. And so that's what I want to talk about today and introduce to you as I call today Service Team Sunday. Okay, today is Service Team Sunday, Part 1. Okay, it's Part 1 as we're going to lay the groundwork for our new gift-based ministry called Service Teams. And then in anticipation of in 3 weeks, we'll have Service Team Sunday Part 2, which will be our first official ministry fair, congregational ministry fair on May 16th, as Doug announced earlier. I first introduced the concept of this gift-based ministry and service teams when I first came out here last June. Right when we moved here from day one, we started talking about it. We talked about it with the elders when they were considering hiring us. God blessed it in an amazing way in St. Louis. We saw the church there rally as we purchased the building. The willing volunteers came out in droves to paint the murals on the wall and clean this up and beautify the outside. We saw the church just use its gifts to build up the church. And the church got so healthy and so strong and grew so much relationally, spiritually, and numerically as a result that when we were there, we thought, wow, now the building's ready, but we got to keep this gift-based ministry going because we've tapped into something really good. And so we started these service teams in St. Louis, and God bless that to take the church to the next level. It was so inspiring, but it was kind of one of the first orders of business I wanted to start out here in Denver. And we've been laying the groundwork for a long time, talking about it, waiting for just the right time. And now I'm excited to say we are at that time. It's go time for the gift-based ministry here. So I've spoken about it so many different times. Since that time, at the start of this year, we added more than 30 deacons to the church. Appointed. Remember them up on stage at our long service there at the start of the year? Okay, you're like, yeah, I remember that. But we had 30 deacons appointed. We gave them a picture there and then raising them up to each lead a service team and talking to them about it. In addition, we have another approximately 30 service team leaders who are not deacons, who are just willing, qualified volunteers in the church who are going to lead another group of service teams. So all in all, we're going to start about 60 different service team ministries, gift-based ministries in the church. Super excited about it. I've been communicating with them about it, giving a lot of direction. They've been responding and putting their dreams and plans together. It's going to be very, very exciting. So as this is a pretty new idea, and I know communication and vision leak. And sometimes we need to over-communicate about everything to make sure that everybody understands it. Today is going to be kind of a preparation Sunday to lay the groundwork so you really understand everything you ever needed to know about the service teams and about this new level of leadership. And so what we're going to do is talk about it in 2 dimensions today. First, practically, I'm going to talk about the who, what, when, where, and why of the service team. So you really understand that. And then spiritually, we're going to talk about the heart behind it all. So first the practicals and then the spirituals, the heart behind it all. Let's talk first about the practicals, this practical foundation of our service teams, the who, what, when, where, and why. Starting with the who. Okay, so who are we talking about? We talk about service teams in the Denver Church of Christ. Is this for them? No, it's for you, okay? This is absolutely for you. It's for everyone in the Denver Church of Christ. You can see this picture I got of Ryan Flynn working out there in his backyard. That's going to be you, okay? That's what we're hoping you are doing. Not just, hammering the ground, but working hard in the church to build up Jesus' church. We need you, okay? We really do. We need you. Everyone in the DCC. This goes for teens, okay? It starts with teens, but it goes from teens to seniors. And I don't mean like seniors in high school, okay? I mean like seniors. Okay, I'm not going to mention any names, okay? But anyway, like you. Okay, so from teens to seniors, it's for everyone in the Denver Church of Christ. Okay, now what? What specifically is this? Well, it's service teams. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Service teams. What are service teams? Service teams are groups that are coordinated by deacons, staff, and other qualified leaders within the church with a service-oriented purpose. That's what it is. It's groups. It's small groups organized in the church with a service-oriented purpose. The goal of the service team leader is to enlist, involve, integrate, and inspire as many willing volunteers as possible toward a need-meeting venture. Okay? In effect, what we're going to be doing is laying a whole new level of small groups within the church. For years, we've operated under the paradigm of a geographic, evangelistic type level of small group. We call it family groups or Bible talks. We've gone through a lot of different names. We're going to continue to have those groups. Okay, we're going to keep having that level of small group Bible talks. Everyone in the church should be involved in a Bible talk like that. But in addition to that level of small group, we're laying a whole nother, cross-sectional level of small group that's gift-based. It's not geographic-based. It's not age-based. It's not what ministry you're in based, but it's based on your passions, based on your gifts, based on the area you want to serve in. And so it allows an incredible cross-section. Maybe people from the Southeast might be in the same service team as people from the Northwest, and college students may be in the same service team as seniors. It allows us just a whole different type of networking according to your passions, according to what you want to do. You will volunteer to be a part of a service team based on the gifts that you feel like God has given you. So the goal of the service team leader is to kind of recruit you and then involve you, get you going, integrate you, get you in there with each other, meeting these great needs within the church. Okay? So then when? When will this take place? Well, it's starting today as we lay the groundwork. But Sunday, May 16th, 10 a.m., is the specific date that we want to mark that down on our calendar. Super important time. The whole church is going to be together, and that's when we're going to have our ministry team fair, our service team fair or ministry fair. And in just a minute, I'm going to be handing out, not yet, but I'll hand out in just a minute, a sheet that goes through and describes all the different service team ministries that we have. So you have time to review them in advance and give some prayerful thought and consideration to what service team you would like to be a part of it. But what's going to go down that day, May 16th, is we're going to have this service team fair. We're going to have a short service in the beginning, and then in a sense, our worship is going to continue, but not in the normal confines of a worship service. But it's going to continue as we fellowship and buzz around the Marriott. We have the atrium there and the big ballroom. There's going to be about 60 booths set up, kind of like a job fair, or like one day there was like a UFO fair going on down there. Do you guys remember that? It's going to be like that, only it's not UFO, okay? But we're going to have this just booths set up throughout the whole area. So after we conclude the worship service, we're going to continue the service as we find areas to serve, okay? So we're going to be fellowshipping around, and you're going to go to the booths that you're interested in to get more information, to get more inspiration about what it would mean to be a part of that service team. And you'll see there's just going to be this incredible buzz as there's 600 disciples milling around, all trying to figure out, how can I serve God in the church? It's going to be really an incredible time. And so we'd like to ask every member to sign up for at least one service team, and at most 3. Now, there's going to be some that you look and you go, man, but I want to be a part of that one. I want to be a part of that one. I want to sign up for all 58. But you can't do that, okay? Because you wouldn't be of any use to the service team leader if they're trying to get you to do something. You go, I'm sorry, I can't. I got 57 other service teams I'm a part of. So we figure a maximum of 3. And they vary in levels of time and commitment involved. They're pretty doable, okay? But at least 1 and at most 3. So you can be thinking about that. And as you visit those ministry booths, you'll commit at that time. You can't tell them, well, I'll tell you later. You got to come ready to sign up. ready to commit on that day. Okay? Oh, then what we'll do is just let you know, once you're finished signing up, then you go get your children in children's ministry so the teachers can come down and peruse and visit the various booths as well, because they need an opportunity to do that. So we'll go through as quickly as we can. Can I get somebody to get me a water, please? I'm sorry, I forgot to bring it. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, where? Where is this going to be? Doug announced this earlier. Marriott Denver Tech Center. Okay, Marriott DTC. I'm so sorry that it's a hike for many of you to come down that far. We looked for a lot of, we got to have a service team to find locations, but we looked all over, and that's the best we could do. So please leave a little bit early so you can get your children in childcare. You know, on a congregational day, it can take a while like that. We need every minute of that day to be together for the fair. So please plan on coming early. Okay, why? Why specifically are we launching this new ministry? Well, there's several reasons why that I'd like to elaborate on here. The first is to utilize the talents and passions of every member. This is important, and if I could, and I don't mean this to come across too negatively, but in the past, our paradigm of involvement in the church was pretty simple. You want to be involved? Bring more visitors. Okay, that was kind of it. You know, well, what else? Okay, or you can serve in children's ministry, not or and, because you need to bring visitors while you're in children's ministry. But that was kind of the way it was. Okay, I'm really thankful. I was a fruit of that. I was a fruit of that. You know, became a Christian. I'm thankful for that narrowness of focus. It was right at the time. However, we have realized that we allowed a lot of people to bury a lot of talents and stunted the growth of the church as a whole by not allowing and fostering and facilitating members to use all of their talents, thank you, to serve the Lord and to build up the church. So this is an effort to surface talents that we've never been able to surface and utilize them to help build up the church. I'm excited when you get the sheet. You'll read through the service teams we're starting with, and I envision so many more service teams than that in the future. But one of them is by a sister, Carol Van Dyke. You know, faithful Carol in the Southeast, and you guys know Carol, but Carol is starting a service team called Stitch and Pray, okay? And what she loves to do is like cross-stitch, and she like makes stuff. I just find it fascinating. You can take this yarn and just make something, you know, and she just has done that as a service to members of the church and community for years. It's like her passion. She loves to do it. One day she came up and she goes, John, what's Barry's favorite color? I said, I don't know. She goes, you don't know her favorite color? So I went and asked my daughter, and they're like, you don't know your mom's or your wife's favorite color? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I know it now. It's red. So I went back and I told her it's red. And well, just on her own, she made this like cool blanket, this like throw, you know, blanket. And I sit there under it when I watch TV, sometimes late at night, and think about Carol. And she just does that for people. Well, she wanted to start this group of older sisters in the church that would just get together, cross-stitch, and pray while they're doing it, and then give it to someone who's needy or as a gift to someone in the church. I go, how cool is that? That she can use her gift of cross-stitching to serve Jesus' church. In the past, we might have said, Carol, that's a waste of time, bring more visitors. But now we go, no, and we probably wouldn't have said it like that, but you know what I'm saying? That you go, now, you know, here's a way she can actually use her gift to build up the church. That's an extreme example, but that's our vision. There are so many talents in this group, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but we want to utilize the talents of every member. Another reason, to meet needs within the church and community. You know, the book of Acts that we studied about a while ago, we saw that verse that says, there was no needy persons among them. It's a cool goal. I don't know if we could say that about us in the church right here, right now, but it's a cool goal to have. That we can really meet each other's needs. And there's no way the staff can meet all your needs, but we need each other to rise up and meet needs. And this is a way to meet a need. If you can think of a need, my vision is to have a service team ministry for it, to be able to meet it in the future. And then not just in the church, but in the community. My vision is that our evangelism is not just, hey, come to my church because it's better than yours. But hey, you have that need? Come to our church. We have a ministry for that. You have this need? Oh, come to our church. We have an incredible ministry. So we're really known as a church that's meeting the needs in the community. So it's to meet needs within the church and the community. And also another purpose, to build relationships within the church and community. Sometimes we need to break out of our normal little flow and our, you know, God forbid, call it clique. but we kind of can have cliques, right? I mean, we have our small group, the people we like to sit by. I know just in the few times I come here, we all basically sit in the same place, which means you sit next to the same people, and that's cool. We build comfortability and relationships that way. But sometimes we need to break out and build other relationships that go throughout the church and that span ages and different demographics based on common desires to serve and ambitions to serve. So it's going to help build relationships through which we can foster all of the one another discipling relationships that we see in the New Testament. And the final need, or final purpose here, is to make the church stronger and more ready to save more souls. That is the end goal of it. It's not that we become an inwardly focused church, God forbid, but that we get so strong and so mobilized and so involved and so proud of our church and so taking responsibility for it that we really do overflow to the community around us. When we did this in St. Louis, some people cautioned, sounds like you're going to become too inwardly focused. It was just the opposite. We didn't have to have big evangelism times and campaigns and stuff because there was just always so many guests coming into the church. We had more than we knew what to do with in terms of studying and baptizing. And it was very encouraging. I envision the church growing kind of organically like that and relationally so we can save more souls. So that's the overall vision of why we're doing this. At this time, I'd like to ask some brothers to hand out the service team directory. Now, this may need a little bit of tweaking. We've done our best to prepare it in advance, but we do have a few weeks before it's launched. So let's go ahead and distribute those at this time. And I would like to encourage you again before May 16th to review this and go over it, pray about it, and look for an area that you can serve. But just take a gander here at some of these. We got right at the top of the list, Administrative Sunday Service Team. Jill needs so much help just getting everything done on Sunday. There's some that have special office skills. Boy, she could use your help in that area. There's so many other ones. You look down, career development. We need that. You know, maybe you're looking for a job or you're looking to advance in your job. We're going to have a whole career development ministry, one for the Southeast, one for the Northwest. And then you see kind of a good contrast. We have the city ministry right next to the Colorado Mountain ministry. A little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll. Okay, we got it all right here, and we've got something for everybody. And you turn the page, there's so many others on here. There's the dancing ministry. You go, what's up with that? Okay, well, they're going to be performing. That's to surface our dance talent in the church so they can perform on Sundays, and we can utilize different ways to make the services better like that. DCC Chronicles, creative. It's cool. We're going to have this photography ministry to chronicle different events that we have in the church and keep our history for slideshows and so forth. Fired up about the Fellowship Fusion. Anything the Langnesses do is fun and fellowship friendly. And they're in charge of this ministry. That's going to be a really cool one. Then we have Friends to the Elderly, Handyman, Home Improvement, Jail Ministry, so many others, Latino Ministry. So thankful for Alden and Angela and all that they do in the Latino ministry and all the different workers there. Got a new members ministry to help people who are moving into the area get integrated and get welcomed and plugged in. You know, if you've moved into the church, it's kind of hard sometimes to break into things, but this will be a ministry just to help those people to move in. Got the Rocky Mountain School of Ministry down there. Glenn has so many exciting things. He's going to start literally educating all of the full-time staff of India and potentially Africa in the Bible. I mean, literally, he's going to be training 80 different ministers throughout all of India to help them know the Bible better. He needs help, and Linda gives that a hearty amen. You know, he could use your help and doing a lot of different things, okay? So there's so many others. We've got a sports ministry here. Brian's going to be in charge of. Where's Campbell? Is he in the house here? Yeah, there he is. A sports ministry. We envision that having a hunting element and a fishing element too. Okay, I'm fired up about that. But so many different, games and stuff we'll be playing. Website ministry. I know Lewis really wants your help. So there's so many more. This is exciting. Again, I envision hundreds in the future throughout the church so we really can meet as many needs as possible. Raise your hand if you did not yet get one of those service team directories. Okay, I feared we ran out. We ran out in the South as well. And I wonder, Jill, if we could get this put on our website for the people who missed. And if you're a married couple and you maybe just need one, if you could raise your hand or raise the extra one, and then ushers could come get it. And then if you need one, raise an empty hand. Don't raise one because we'll take it from you. Okay, raise your hands and we can distribute to anyone as he has need. Okay, on our Bible theme there. Okay, that's our practical foundation, the who, what, when, where, and why. Maybe it's a jumble, okay? I've shared a lot of different stuff, but I hope it's starting to make sense. We'll talk a lot more about it. We have 3 weeks before May 16th, and on May 16th we'll make it very clear, but it's going to be really, really cool. Now, what I want to talk about in the next part of today is the spiritual foundation. You know, what good is it to have cool church programs if there's not the spiritual foundation and motivation behind it all, right? So we really think this is probably the most important, this not just the practicals behind it, but the heart behind it. And I really believe the heart behind all of this gift-based ministry and service team ministry is simply a heart to serve. When you look at Jesus, He clearly came here with a heart to serve. It's what we love about Him. We kind of take it for granted because we think of Jesus as a servant. But how radical is that for the religious leader of the biggest movement in history to just come down as one who serves? It really is amazing. Jesus had this heart to serve. And so I want to talk about this spiritual foundation of our gifts-based ministry. It really is a heart to serve. And specifically, I want to talk today about 2 chambers of a heart to serve. 2 chambers of a heart to serve and inspire us to really open up these chambers of our heart. The first is this: a grateful heart. A grateful heart. In Colossians chapter 3, read this verse along with me. Colossians 3:15, Paul says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, and as you sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs with gratitude in your hearts to God. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him." You know what's cool about this passage is it talks about serving in a great way. You know, it talks about serving, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. It's working for serving the Lord, not men. So it talks about serving God and serving other people. And yet it's interesting that there's 3 references in the midst of this charge to serve, 3 references to gratitude. Isn't that interesting to see that? And I've highlighted them there. He just says, "And be thankful," and sing and serve with gratitude in your hearts. And while you're doing all this, be giving thanks to God. One of the most pure and powerful motivations to serve is our own gratitude for who we are and what God has done for us. You ever wonder, how do I get the motivation to serve? You ever feel like the longer you've been a Christian, the less motivated you are to kind of do extra stuff? Used to be all fresh and exciting. You kind of go, "Oh, now they want me to do this. Now they want me to do, oh, what do I have to do?" Maybe you feel that way and you go, "What's wrong with me? Where does the motivation come from? How can I have the motivation to just want to serve?" I really believe that the most pure and powerful motivation we can have is gratitude. Just gratitude for what God has done for us. I can usually identify how serving a person is by how grateful they are. And honestly, how grateful they are by how serving they are. As a general rule, the more grateful you are, the more passionate you are to serve other people. I think of the example of Paul. You look at Paul and, gosh, can you think of a more selfless, surrendered, sacrificial servant than the Apostle Paul? And you look and you go, how did he do it? Year after year, decade after decade. How did he do it? I mean, he wasn't even married to get that encouragement. He's all alone, but he just kept serving and serving. You go, where did it come from? I really think for Paul, the motivation to serve was so intertwined with just the gratitude in his own heart. It's interesting. Hang with me here. It's a little deep. But about 7% of the entire Bible, Old and New Testament, was penned by Paul. Okay, he wrote about 7% of the Bible. It's not a lot, but it's a lot more than any of us have written, okay? So he wrote 7% of all of God's Word. Well, if you look up all the references to gratitude thankfulness, thanksgiving. 35% come from his writings. 1/3 of all of the references to gratitude and thanksgiving in the entire Bible come from Paul's pen. That's pretty amazing. If you had to write 7% of the Bible, you think, what would be the predominant theme of what you wrote? We see the predominant theme of what he wrote. It was gratitude. You see him over and over. I thank God whom I serve. I thank God. I thank God. He's so thankful for his salvation, so thankful for his forgiveness, so thankful for a second chance, so thankful that God called him to his service, so thankful to be a part of the kingdom. He's just so thankful to God. And then when you read his letters, he's not only thanking God, he's thanking people over and over. Gosh, I thank God for you. Every morning, every night, I thank God for you. I thank God for you. He's like so thankful to people. You'd think the people would be the ones thanking him like, man, I wouldn't be saved if it weren't for you. Thank you so much for going a wife and family. Thank you for serving me. Thank you for writing this letter. But it was Paul, as the servant, that was just thanking them. He was so grateful, and I think that was so intertwined with the reason why he was such an effective and motivated servant. He was thankful to God, and he's thankful to people. How grateful are you? How grateful are you to God? And how grateful are you to other people? You think about all that we have, and we could have a big list of all that we don't have. But think about all that we have. You know, a week ago, many of us were at the married retreat in Keystone, Colorado. I mean, our guest speaker's like, oh my gosh, this is an hour from where you live. We're like, oh yeah, we kind of can take it for granted. I mean, it's just beautiful. And we're there at this incredible retreat. Last night, many of us at the White Rose Ball with our daughters. Today, we're with our friends and family in the Lord. We are so richly blessed. We have so much to be grateful for who we are, for what God has made us, for how he's working in our lives, for how far we've come. And there's challenges. But man, we have so much to be grateful for. How grateful are you to God and to people? If you're really grateful, you have a really grateful heart, you're really going to be opening up that first chamber of a heart to serve, because you're just going to have a natural response to want to serve other people. So the first chamber of this heart to serve is a grateful heart. Number 2, the second chamber of a heart to serve, a faithful heart. A faithful heart. Look over in Matthew chapter 25. It's a little long, so we'll read it here together rather than putting it up on the screen. Matthew 25 and verse 14. I always try to read these that I know pretty well as though I've never heard them before. Jesus is speaking of the kingdom of heaven. He says again, it would be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents of money, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who'd received the 5 talents went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. So also the one with the 2 talents gained 2 more. But the man who had received the 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who'd received the 5 talents brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I've gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with the 2 talents also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with the 2 talents. See, I've gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who'd received the 1 talent came. Master, he said, I knew that you're a hard man, harvesting where you've not sown and gathering where you've not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I've not sown and gather where I've not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. Take the talent from him and give it to the one who has the 10 talents. For everyone who has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has, will be taken from him. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. You know, this is like an amazing story. It's one that we know and we read it. We think, yeah, the parable of the talents. And sometimes we forget, because of its familiarity, we forget how stingingly sharp it is. When you think about that, you think about the story ending with, throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there's like weeping and, like gnashing of teeth. I picture my dog, when a squirrel comes by the back door or something, I'm like, Angel, kill. She's like, like weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's what Jesus is like. Throw that worthless servant outside. We don't picture Jesus talking like that. But it's hard line comparing the master of this workers to Jesus. It's a hard line passage. In the story, the master gave a responsibility to each of the three servants. And each one had a different level of responsibility. It didn't matter who got how much. That wasn't the issue. The issue was what they did with it. Would they use this responsibility that they've been given for themselves or for the master's causes? That was the difference. And how they used that ability, how they used that responsibility had a huge consequence in their lives. If they used those responsibilities to advance the master's cause, they heard, well done, good and faithful servant, come share your master's happiness, and they were given even more. But if they didn't use their responsibilities wisely to the glory of the master, then they heard, man, you are worthless. They heard anger. They heard frustration. They heard, throw that worthless servant outside in the darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. When you think about a sum total of the end of your life, and what you hear is the final words from the master, you have a choice. Well done, good and faithful servant, come share your master's happiness. Or, throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. Sometimes we like to think there's other options, but isn't the Bible full of just two? There's like the broad road and there's the narrow road. There's heaven, there's hell. It's all throughout the Bible. There's just two. And you see just two options here. It doesn't have anything to do with the responsibility you've been given, but it has everything to do with how you handle it. A faithful heart. A faithful heart is the one that says, hey, my master gave me this. I'm going to use it for His glory. That's what a faithful heart means. Today, in Jesus' church, our master, Jesus, gives out responsibilities just the same as this master did 2,000 years ago. He gives out these responsibilities to us, calling them gifts. That's what He calls them. He calls these responsibilities gifts. And we've all been given certain gifts. You can define a gift as a talent, an ability, passion, a life experience. So many other words you could probably come up to summarize what a gift is. Some gifts you got innately when you were born. Some of them you got genetically. You were just going to be that kind of person. Some you kind of got from your parents as they instilled things in you as a young child. You don't even remember them. Some you got that you didn't want through life experience that was like painfully tough. And you thought, man, why am I being cursed? But then that curse turned into a blessing, turned into a gift. Isn't it funny how it works? So God looks at all of us and He gives us gifts initially, but then He keeps giving us gifts continually. Through our life experience, through other people, through discipling, through so much. He's just adding to our gift base. And what He does as He gives out these gifts so liberally is He hopes that one day that person's going to become a Christian. And that one day, not only will they be a Christian, because a lot of people become Christians, but then bury their talents. He hopes that they're going to become a Christian, and then they're going to use all their gifts to advance His cause and help build His church. And when He finds somebody like that, one of the 1 in a million who become a true follower, and then who stay faithful, and then have a faithful heart to go, man, all that you've given me, I'm not going to use those gifts to buy more toys. I'm not going to use those gifts to take a longer vacation. I'm not going to use those gifts to advance some company or corporation only, though those things can all be done. But I'm going to use these gifts to build up your church, to win as many as possible, to strengthen my brothers and sisters and advance your cause. When He finds somebody like that, God gets so excited. That's what produces the well done, good and faithful servant. Come share your master's happiness. He's just happy because this 1 in a million person has found him and is now using all the gifts they've been given to excel for him. Well done, good and faithful servant. Think about your gifts. Everyone in here has been given very unique and special gifts. What a mistake we make as ministers to think everyone's gift has to look the same, has to be packaged the same, or that you're worthless if your gift doesn't look like that person's gift. We made that mistake before. We only valued a certain kind of gifts. What a mistake that is. The church comes alive. The church, the perfect plan of Jesus comes to fruition when we can recognize and appreciate all the different gifts packaged in all the different ways that we have in the church. In a group like this, I mean, you look around. We got all different ages. We got all different races, all different situations in life. We have so many gifts. And I don't care if you're like a little box or a big box, or you got a big red ribbon or a little crummy ribbon or something like that, or tape showing on the underside, like when your son wraps something for you or something like that. It doesn't matter. But you are special and unique in the gifts God has given you. Let me ask you a couple questions along these lines to consider in the next few weeks as we lead up to the service team fair. First is, what are your gifts? What are they? Do you know? Sometimes we have kind of a false sense of humility. We're so afraid of being prideful, which is, it's a good fear to have, but sometimes we're so afraid that we throw the baby out with the bathwater. And we don't really take inventory of the gifts, the strengths, the passions, the life experiences, the talents and abilities that God has blessed us with. That it's not prideful to know what your gifts are. God wants you to know what they are. He wants you to be secure with the gifts He's given you. And it's really humble because you're recognizing Him as the giver of a gift. The point is not, I'm so gifted. The point is, what has He given me to use? That's what it is. Can you imagine like being given gifts for your birthday? You go, oh man, I got all these gifts. Look at these gifts. I'm not going to open them. I'm just going to keep them there. Well, that'd be silly. You want to know what you got. You want to know what's in there. God has given us gifts. Unwrap your package. What are your gifts? What are your strengths? What are your life experiences? What's unique to you? You need to know that so you can know why and how you're going to be special in building up and advancing Jesus' cause and kingdom. We need your gifts. If your gifts go unopened, if you just kind of shy back and, oh, my gifts aren't as good as that person's gift, you're missing the whole point. We're all going to hurt. Jesus' church is going to hurt as a result. What are your strengths? What are you good at? What are your life experiences? What are you passionate about? In the next 3 weeks, between now and the service team fair, I want to ask you to first ask God, God, what are my gifts? And I mean really ask Him. Even if you think you know, then put in an extra adjective. What are my hidden gifts? What are the gifts I don't know about? Ask God. Really ask Him. And then I want to encourage you to ask other people. Ask your spouse. Ask your kids. Ask someone in your discipleship group. Ask your ministers. Ask your elders. Ask one another. Hey, can I ask you a question? I know this is awkward, though it's not awkward because we're all supposed to be asking the question. But you go, what do you think my gifts are? And maybe you're one of those people that, I just like to hear it. Maybe you're one of those people that go, gosh, I'm afraid to even ask it because I'm so insecure. We're all different, But ask that question. If you ask God, you ask other people, and then you just kind of quietly ask yourself, what do I think I'm good at? What do I think are my gifts? You'll come up with some answers, I trust, in the next 3 weeks. And honestly, not just then, but for the rest of our lives, we need to be asking this question. It's the glory of God to conceal a matter. It's the glory of kings to seek it out. Much of what makes life exciting is we haven't figured it all out yet, and God's not telling the end of the story. But we get the opportunity to investigate, to pursue, to try to figure out, what are my gifts? Why has God brought me here? That's what life is all about. It's what makes it magical. But ask these questions. What are your gifts? And then the second question, are you using your gifts to build up Jesus' church? It's a good question. Not Did you used to use your gifts to build up Jesus' church? That's a different question. That's important too. And it's never to be undervalued. Those who've used their gifts in the past to serve Jesus' church, that's awesome. But we're talking real time. Are you using your gifts to build up Jesus' church? If not, what are you doing with them? Maybe you go, I'm getting in really good physical shape. That's awesome. You're using all your character, your drive, your discipline to get in better shape. That's cool. I'm top salesman. That's awesome. That's great. I'm working on this or I'm doing this. That's all really good. But the question is, are you using your gifts to build up Jesus' church right now? If you stopped using your gifts, would the building tilt? Or would it just kind of go on like normal? Are you using your gifts to build up Jesus' church? We need them. We need them. We need every single person's gifts in here. So please give that some real serious thought and consideration. And again, know the big picture that if you use your gifts to serve God, 1, you're going to please the Master. 2, you're going to help your brother and sister and fellow man. 3, you're going to share in God's happiness. If you decide to not use your gifts or bury half your gifts, then you're not going to share your Master's happiness. You're going to be thrown out where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. You're not going to help your brother and sister, and you're not going to please God. Doesn't matter how many times you've been baptized. That's just the reality. Are you going to use your gifts? What are your gifts? Are you using them to build Jesus' church? Consider these 2 questions and understand the eternal ramifications of the answer to them. Let's all wrestle with these things and come in 3 weeks ready and decided to have faithful hearts that passionately desire to build up Jesus' church and to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. This is what the service teams are all about. It's a way to help you identify and utilize the gifts God has given you to build up Jesus' church and save souls. That's what this venture is all about. And that's why I really believe, as I shared earlier, that this new gifts-based ministry, it's not just a fad. It's not just a phase. But it's really going to be monumental in the impact on our church, our relationships, and our individual lives and the community around us. I believe it has that potential. But the key is that it not just be a program, but it really be something that has the right heart behind it. The program itself, again, the ministry fair, Sunday, May 18th, or May 16th, is going to be an awesome time. Much more importantly is for you to have a heart to serve. A grateful heart and a faithful heart. And to God be the glory as we offer Him those hearts and build up His church. God bless you.